These videos are intended to help people who want to stop drinking for whatever reason. If you don't feel that you have any kind of drink problem and you don't want to stop drinking, then my hat is off to you. Go away, enjoy yourself, and this is probably not for you. What I shall be covering in this first video is the initial period when you stop drinking and how you get through that particular period. I should also make it quite clear here at the start that if you are a very heavy drinker, stopping drinking suddenly can be risky and you should seek medical advice from a doctor. Especially it can exacerbate any underlying medical conditions and a doctor can prescribe medication to help you through that. So please go and seek medical advice if you are a heavy drinker and you're stopping abruptly. I started drinking at 17, about 17, 18. And for me, it was an absolute passport to manhood. It meant that I could bypass all that tricky procedure of developing experience, which with experience comes confidence. With confidence means you can go out. You can get it instantly from a bottle. And I absolutely loved it. I drank like mad. I would say that I rarely had an off switch. I rarely went out and drank in moderation. It was very rare that I could go out and have 2 pints and go home at the end of the night. I'd have to drink myself half stupid. And for me, it wasn't a successful night unless you were completely out of your face. Alcohol is a depressant. It acts on the central nervous system. And in common with all drugs, what it does over time is your body builds up tolerance to it, which means that you need more of it to achieve the same effect. Now, if I said to you, stop breathing, what would you say? You'd say, what? If I said to you, stop drinking water, you'd say, what are you talking about? I can't stop drinking water. If I was to say to you, all right, stop having any pleasure in everything. Everything that is pleasurable for you, I want you to remove those pleasures from your life. You'd think I was crazy, right? Well, that's what it's like to say to somebody who's got an alcohol addiction, stop drinking. It's just not an option. And one of the reasons for that is that alcohol eventually will drive out all competing pleasures. The brain is basically a cost-benefit calculator, and your body evolved mechanisms to reward you for behavior which is beneficial to you. So, if you have a child, you get massive rush of feel-good chemicals in your brain. If you get a new job or you make money, you get a reward. Your brain rewards you for doing these things. Any one of a number of things, even small pleasures, your brain rewards you for doing those things. Now, what alcohol does is it mimics those rewards, and it has its own rewards, and it affects the chemical imbalance in your brain. And eventually, you will start to prefer the rewards that alcohol gives you to the rewards that normal life gives you. Because it's quicker. You don't have to go through all the messing about to get those chemical rewards. It's a quick fix. And that is why it eventually drives out competing pleasures. You'll find that people who drink and become dependent on drink can't enjoy anything without a drink. They have to have a drink as well. I got like that in my drinking. I couldn't even do a basic job or a basic task without accompanying it with a drink. So if my wife asked me to put up a shelf in the house, I'd have to crack open a tin before I started putting up the shelf. If I had an important phone call to make, I'd have to have a drink before I made that phone call. When I first stopped, I stopped drinking cold turkey, which is something I wouldn't advise people who are in fact heavy drinkers. I would advise you to go and seek medical advice. But I personally stopped cold turkey. I had a very bad period of shakes and feeling really bad, as if I had a very bad cold or the flu. I went a little bit crazy eating oranges for some reason. I don't know if it was because my body was craving sugar. And I remember I lived next to this big kind of corner store market. And I used to go there and buy huge bags of oranges. And the guy that ran the market used to see me buying these bags of oranges every single day. And he was obviously thinking, what the fuck? What the fuck is that guy doing? I ate so many, I started to go orange. And I got hooked on things like Star Trek. I sat there watching Star Trek, one after the other, after the other, after the other, eating oranges. So Treat that period when you first stop drinking as you would any illness. If you were to tell me that I was going to get the flu, what would I think? I'd think, well, okay, I've got a couple of weeks of, my bones are going to ache. I'm going to feel like absolute shit for a couple of weeks, and then it's over. Yeah, that period is finished. And the same is true of alcohol. You have an initial period where you feel physically really bad, but that fades. And then after that, you're dealing with the mental issues, and we'll get onto that further in these videos. But the initial physical stage is something that you can deal with in the same way that you would deal with any illness. And, you wouldn't even break stride, would you, if it were the flu or a bad cold? You'd deal with it over that period of time. Be good to yourself in terms of food. Go out, get good foods, buy good food. Don't just exist on shit. When I drank, I ate kebabs most of the time. When I ever ate anything, I'd go across the road to the kebab shop. I lived in London at the time, and I'd buy a kebab with yogurt sauce on it, and I'd eat it. And, I might have one of those every couple of days. It was really awful, When I stopped drinking, I started going to Marks and Spencer's and buying smoked salmon and prawns and the nice packaged salads that they had, and basically buying good foods, lots of fruit, lots of vegetables, stuff that actually makes you feel good. It makes you feel clean when you've eaten it. Try and stick to that. There will be people that say to you, oh, you need to eat lots of Mars bars and you need to drink lots of fizzy drinks. And let me tell you, I think that's a load of rubbish. Don't get sucked into the trap of substituting one addiction for another and stuffing your face with Mars bars, because what will happen is you'll get huge mood swings. You'll end up wanting to pick up the drink again, and you'll end up fat. You'll end up a fat alcoholic. Get some exercise, go out, have a walk, enjoy the fresh air, and it's at this time when you first put the drink down in the first couple of weeks where the addiction is at its strongest in terms of telling you that you've made a big mistake, right? It will be ranting and screaming at you that you're never going to have a good time again without me. You're never going to be able to do this without me. What life is not worth living without me. Life is going to be so boring without me there to help you through. It's at this point that it will be screaming and shouting at you. Just compartmentalize it. When I was dreaming, I used to see the drink as being like a demon baboon that would be screaming and tearing at me and shouting at me, and I would be pushing it away, and eventually I would put it into a cage and I would close the cage door, and it would rant and scream and jump up and down and rattle the bars because it wanted to get out and it wanted to get back, and it would tell me all kinds of things, but I would keep strong and I would keep that door shut on that baboon because I knew that as time passed it would get weaker and weaker and weaker. So you need to get through these initial first couple of weeks. And as a follow-on to that, keep yourself occupied. That could involve, making a list of household jobs or household things that you needed to do for a while, doing them methodically, ticking each one off the list. If there's one thing the baboon hates, it's you to be occupied with other things other than listening to him. So keep yourself occupied. If you're able to, and if you can, and it's available to you, call up somebody who has themselves stopped drinking and talk to them about it, or get in touch with a local self-help group, again, if one is available to you. But keep yourself busy. Don't sit around stewing. Remember, the addiction is like an abuser. It needs secrecy. It needs you on your own to be at its most effective. It needs you isolated. So if you are able to talk to somebody else who has similar experience, I strongly advise that you do so. It certainly will help you. Keep away from any drinking buddies during this period. People who are still drinking or are drinking a lot have nothing to offer you at this point in time. Absolutely nothing. So just keep away from them. Tell them you're ill if needs be. Tell them you've got the flu, but keep away from them. To recap, firstly, treat the period of withdrawal as you would any nasty illness such as the flu. Something you know what you're going to get for the next couple of weeks. Plan for it and be ready for it. Be prepared for it and expect it. Secondly, be very good to yourself in terms of food. Don't go crazy trying to overcompensate with bad food. Eat well. Be kind to yourself and treat yourself well, as if you're poorly for that period. And thirdly, get some exercise, go out, keep yourself busy, and that will help you in terms of listening to the addiction, which will be screaming and shouting at you for this period of time. Keep yourself occupied. Thank you for watching this video. There are 2 more videos which will be coming soon, which will deal with the issues that you are likely to encounter after this initial period of putting down the drink. Because of course, anybody can stop drinking, but it's staying stopped that's the tricky thing. We will be exploring that more in depth. Please visit my website at ditchthebooze.com for more tips and inspiration on ditching the booze.